But the Palestinian people's right to self-determination, their right to justice, must also be recognized. And put yourself in their shoes. Look at the world through their eyes. It is not fair that a Palestinian child cannot grow up in a state of their own, living their entire lives with the presence of a foreign army that controls the movements, not just of those young people, but their parents, their grandparents, every single day. It's not just when settler violence against Palestinians goes unpunished. It's not right to prevent Palestinians from farming their lands or restricting a student's ability to move around the West Bank or displace Palestinian families from their homes. Neither occupation nor expulsion is the answer. Just as Israelis built a state in their homeland, Palestinians have a right to be a free people in their own land. But
That was Barack Obama, former president of the United States of America. I'm Ronaldo McKenzie, and welcome to another episode of the Neoliberal Realm podcast. Powerful words from Mr. Obama. I recently said actually that was a video that was shared by someone on Twitter, and on the caption it reads, President Obama said this about Israeli-Palestinian conflict 10 years ago. And of course, I joined Twitter on September 2010 to follow Obama, as I was amused by him, his balanced approaches, passion for justice and fairness, and his subaltern perspective of history and policy. Unlikely supporters, world leaders, couldn't help their secret support of him, despite their ire of the US. He didn't promote American exceptionalism without investing in American empowerment. He advocated for the Palestinians while encouraging diplomacy, Israeli nationhood, and partnerships, but a workable solution in the Middle East that caters for both sides. That's what I tweeted. That I made those comments recently, especially in response to this particular very bold statement from Obama many years ago, which I will make reference to it later again. But this episode of the Neoliberal Realm podcast is entitled harnessing harnessing collective efforts for human rights promotion in weak governance countries. Harnessing collective efforts for human rights promotion in weak governance countries. LinkedIn asked, LinkedIn has this new thing where they ask various top contributors or members on the platform to provide commentaries to various professional or insider topics. And what they do is that they ask various questions. Last week they had asked a question about, what was the question last week? The question last week, if I could find the question last week, I had it up somewhere. I'm gonna show it because I had posted it some time ago. The question that they had asked is, what are the most important career development tasks for new graduates? And I actually wrote a quick response, and I had said that one crucial aspect I found useful is networking. And furthermore, our world is rapidly changing, with AI driving many of these shifts. And actually, so that was last week. I provided a response last week. This week they asked another question, and I found it quite interesting and decided to even write a full editorial response or an article. The question is, what are the most effective ways to promote human rights in countries with weak governance? What are the most effective ways to promote human rights in countries with weak governance? And I found that to be, especially with what's going on in the world today. And I'm going to share I published I provided a short response, but then I wrote an article and an editorial article and published it in the Neoliberal Post at ronaldocmckenzie.com, and promised that I would also provide an audio version of that particular article. In fact, one of the reasons why I started doing podcasts was I've been blogging since 2010, and one of my readers asked me to start doing podcasts because their eyesight was failing them, and so they provided me with the Anchor platform, and that's how I started doing podcasting. And so I believe, so in honor of that in honor of that fan, and for those who prefer to listen to the written word than to read it, I'm gonna present that article with you, the response that I wrote in the Neoliberal Post, entitled "Harnessing Collective Efforts for Human Rights Promotion in Weak Governance Countries." Again, the article is entitled "Harnessing Collective Efforts for Human Rights Promotion in Weak Governance Countries," and it is in response to a question posed by LinkedIn. Question is, what are the most effective ways to promote human rights in countries with weak governance? We'll be right back after these messages. What are the most effective ways to promote human rights in countries with weak governance? Here is the article. Here is the response here is my response in article format in the Neoliberal Post at ronaldocmckenzie.com, entitled "Harnessing Collective Efforts for Human Rights Promotion in Weak Governance Countries." In the face of challenging circumstances, the promotion of human rights in countries with weak governance becomes a daunting yet imperative task. It is evident that meaningful change necessitates a collaborative effort uniting various stakeholders, including international bodies, non-governmental organizations, NGOs, influential figures, and nations committed to human rights. These entities must pool their resources and expertise to empower and organize local groups within these struggling or weaker governance countries. While such an endeavor is complex, it requires a multifaceted approach. Education emerges as a cornerstone in the quest for human rights promotion. Empowering the masses in countries with weaker governance, such as Haiti, Russia, and China, calls for the dissemination of critical thinking education. To foster positive change, initiatives supporting education must be vigorously endorsed. In this endeavor, the utilization of cutting-edge AI technology and other digital tools can prove instrumental. A striking example of the transformative power of technology in the advocacy for human rights is the Arab wave in Iran, where activists fighting for women's rights for women's rights harnessed social media to unite young people en masse. The impact of such movements extends beyond gender-based issues, addressing abuses against humanity, including discrimination, racism, and extremism. In essence, these are forms of violence against the human spirit and their fundamental rights. Throughout history, assertive advocacy, often materialized in the form of protests and rebellions, has played a pivotal role in challenging these violations and securing human rights. The recent example of Georgetown University students taking to the streets to protest against the ongoing Israeli attacks on Gaza highlights the significance of direct engagement and diplomacy in the pursuit of human rights. Such acts of advocacy, where individuals passionately demand an immediate ceasefire, underscore the importance of civil society engagement. In this case, students exemplified how proactive advocacy can contribute to peace and ceasefire negotiations and the promotion of human rights on behalf of others in countries with weak governance on human rights. Their message, conveyed through social media, reached a global audience, urging influential figures to advocate for a ceasefire and peace. It is noteworthy that advocacy should not merely entail public speeches or diplomatic lunches, but instead reflect a commitment to real, tangible change. And it's important that I pause here and shed light on a recent encounter or experience I had on a social media platform, where I had posted something of the sort, saying I had posted something and they muted it, blocked it, because they said it went against the platform's guidelines, because I had said something about the Pope or the papacy and the Catholic Church, and the fact that I believe that they are sitting by the sidelines. They are not, and over the years they have been sitting by the sidelines. And I've also said in a recent tweet, in reference to an Obama statement, Obama made a bold statement which he had gotten a lot of backlash for. A bold statement, and I said that the first person I followed on Twitter was I joined Twitter in September of 2010 to follow Barack Obama, the first person I ever followed on Twitter, as I was amused by him, his balanced approaches, passion for justice and fairness, and his subaltern perspective of history and policy. But before that, I also said that unlikely supporters, world leaders, couldn't help their secret support of him, despite their ire of the U.S. But Obama didn't promote American exceptionalism without investing in American empowerment. He advocated for the Palestinians while encouraging diplomacy, Israeli nationhood, and partnerships, but a workable solution in the Middle East that caters to both sides. And this is what Obama said. Obama said in a 10 years ago.
But the Palestinian people's right to self-determination, their right to justice, must also be recognized. And put yourself in their shoes. Look at the world through their eyes. It is not fair that a Palestinian child cannot grow up in a state of their own. living their entire lives with the presence of a foreign army that controls the movements, not just of those young people, but their parents, their grandparents, every single day. It's not just when settler violence against Palestinians goes unpunished. It's not right to prevent Palestinians from farming their lands or restricting a student's ability to move around the West Bank or displace Palestinian families from their homes. Neither occupation nor expulsion is the answer. Just as Israelis built a state in their homeland, Palestinians have a right to be a free people in their own land. But the
That was what he said 10 years ago. A powerful statement, a powerful and a bold statement. Very powerful and very bold, and in fact, and Georgetown Uni, there are some students at Georgetown University. Some students at Georgetown University yesterday or day before yesterday, they were protesting. They were and they were protesting at Georgetown, advocating for ceasefire now. And I said that's the kind of bold statement that we need from the Catholic Church and the papacy. That's the kind of statement that we need. I'm happy that the students, in a sense, is rescuing the kind of the reticence of the church, in a sense, but it's the indirect and passive responses, and that was what I said, and they muted that, but I continue. But let me finish. So I said that, and so in the article I said that it is noteworthy that advocacy should not merely entail public speeches or diplomatic lunches, because the Pope was making public speeches and lunches with Biden about the war, the Palestinian-Israeli war. But that's not the kind of bold statements that we need, and the kind of engagement that we need. We need more direct involvement back from the church. So I said it is noteworthy that advocacy, and then in reference to the kind of advocacy that's coming out of Georgetown University, and the bold statements that we have from leaders such as Barack Obama 10 years ago, it is noteworthy that advocacy should not merely entail public speeches or diplomatic lunches, but instead reflect a commitment to real, tangible change. For over a century, post-Crusades, the Catholic Church has maintained a silence on conflicts involving Jews and Arabs. And silence must be done in quote, because they've made lip service is not necessarily the kind of lip service that has no weight is tangible to silence. So for over a century post-Crusades, the Catholic Church has maintained a silence on conflicts involving Jews and Arabs. However, the recent advocacy efforts of Georgetown University students exemplify a different approach. One rooted in the pursuit of peace, love, and sacrifice. By demanding a ceasefire and highlighting the ongoing Gaza genocide, they illustrate that change is achievable through passionate, direct engagement. In conclusion, the promotion of human rights in countries with weak governance demands a concerted, multifaceted approach that combines education, technology, and advocacy. The collaboration of international bodies, NGOs, influential figures, and dedicated nations is pivotal in empowering local groups and challenging violations of human rights. Local groups in these weaker countries and challenging violations of human rights. It is through these collective efforts that meaningful change and lasting peace can be realized in regions plagued by weak governance. I explore some of these arguments and some cases in more detail in my upcoming book with contributions from Professor Emeritus Dr. Martin Oppenheimer, book entitled Neoliberal Globalization Reconsidered, Neo-Capitalism and the Death of Nations, which we hope to be out before the end of the year. Of course, this the e-version, or you can find the printed version or the e-version of this audio of the article that I just read from in the Neoliberal Post at RonaldoCMcKenzie.com by going to, of course, RonaldoCMcKenzie.com, article entitled Harnessing Collective Efforts for Human Rights Promotion in Weak Governance Countries. This is the Neoliberal Realm podcast, brought to you by the Neoliberal Corporation. We are serving the world today to solve tomorrow's challenges by making popular what was the monopoly. Of course, we are a digital think tank. We are a think tank, digital news media company, publishing company that's also involved in IT services. That's all that provides books, textbooks, academic services, IT services. Please visit us by going to Ants Business Solutions or RonaldoCMcKenzie.com and RonaldoCMcKenzie.com. And of course, you can get a copy of our book, Neoliberalism, Globalization, Income Inequality, Poverty and Resistance, available at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Barnes and Walmart, Target, and also here at the Neoliberal shop at the neoliberal.com/shop or RonaldoCMcKenzie.com/the Neoliberal Bookstore. Please subscribe to the show, share this show with your friends, let us know how we are doing, and donate to us by going to anchor.fm/the Neoliberal/support. What good?